Well, the New South Wales Berejiklian government has joined forces with the federal government to build the first dam in the state for more than 30 years, announcing a $1 billion investment in dams and water infrastructure projects around the state. This includes $480 million for the new Dungowan Dam near Tamworth and a $650 million upgrade of the Wyanella, I'm going to check that, Wyanella Dam in the New South Wales Central West in order to aid regional and rural communities build drought resilience into the future. Joining me now for more is Melinda Pavey, New South Wales Minister for Water, Property and Housing. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not au fait with that far out west, but just the opening point. The last dam was built, Minister, in New South Wales in 1987. So how can you do what others said couldn't be done?
I think a drought has a lot to do with it, Peter, and I'll forgive you as a Victorian-born girl that you didn't know that it's the Wyanella Dam in the Lachlan Valley.
Thank you.
And I absolutely understand that, but I've got some very strong connections to part of the world where you come from, being the daughter of a dairy farmer. And our farm and our family was reliant on irrigation. And whether it's irrigation, it's about farmers, it's about communities, but it's also about town water supplies. I'm just so excited of the support that has come through from the Prime Minister, the Premier, Deputy Premier, Deputy Prime Minister. We've done some work. We did some really good groundwork. Wyanella, for example, it's got a benefit-cost ratio of 4. Currently, those communities have a dam that's only got 20% full of water. And as it's been put to me, but if we put a big dam in, we double the capacity of that dam, we put in danger the wetlands. I say no. We can actually ensure that there will be water continuing to go through the wetlands. And you know what? A lot of farmers know that that needs to happen. And I support them being able to farm with more certainty and more predictability. Dungowan at Tamworth, there was already $73 million on the table federally. We need to do something. That is a thriving town, 100,000 people in Tamworth. A lot of our food manufacturing comes from that incredible city, and that water restrictions that they're now under because the town water supply is being challenged is simply not good enough. And to have that support, we really expect we'll get shovels in the ground for that project by next year. And we're also hopeful of that for Wyanella, and we're going to make some changes to streamline those processes to make that happen. And the third one is Mull River, right up there on the Queensland border. So that will have benefits for both states. I know that the Minister for Water federally, Minister Littleproud, is very supportive of that one. We've got a business case, $25 million on the table to explore that one, and that will be one of the first new ones on a new site. But we have had smaller water supply dams like one in my own community of Nambucca opened 4 years ago. But in terms of big projects, there has been an anti-dam sentiment too long in this nation. But I argue it actually saves the frogs, the fishes and the platypus. In New South Wales, 2016, we were a state awash with water. Wyanella was tipping over the edge, Burrendong, which feeds the Macquarie Valley into Dubbo. We were just filled with water. We'd had the Newell Highway cut in the southern part of New South Wales for 6 weeks. But what has happened since has been this extraordinary period of 31 months of record low rainfall. Off the charts. New South Wales has never seen anything like it. That's our challenge, and that's why we need bigger water storages as we go into climate change, climate variability. We don't know when the rain is going to come or when the next big drought's going to be. But if we have storages, they're part of a civilised society.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. But this has always been the issue. Australia, in my view, does not have a water scarcity problem. It has a problem with water not being harvested when it's in abundance and stored or moved to areas where we have shortages or where we want to perhaps increase population or increase agriculture, where we are irrigating, for example. And I think it's enormous waste when governments sit there and spend money on all sorts of other things but are not preparing dams when we have times where we can prepare dams and get them through with the will of local councils and others, and obviously in this case money from the Commonwealth, to have those dams in place so that when we have the next rains, and it will rain, we can store that water and make ourselves more productive. What's often been criticised, I think, is governments saying that they're building dams, but if you look at the list, and I've looked at them all closely, they're just improvements to some water infrastructures. They're not necessarily dams. This is a true dam in the way we all understand dams, this Tamworth project. Are you confident, because there's been a hell of a lot of talk in this area, Minister, are you confident that you'll actually put shovel in the ground next year and that we will see something come of this, that you're not going to be hit by some endangered frog or anything like that to stop progress?
Peter, I am confident, because one of the great things that happened at the federal election, and we just won the state election 6 weeks previously, we have a political alignment between Sydney and Canberra. And it is my desire and my colleagues' desire and my federal colleagues, we've got to use this time in a way to speak to our communities, to respond to their needs. I mean, recent research shows that 78% of people support the very premise that you put up. We sometimes don't have a water shortage, we have a shortage of being able to capture it and store it so we can keep our rivers flowing, our frogs alive, our platypus alive and our fish alive. It's an exciting time to be Water Minister with the support that I'm receiving. John Barilaro, my state leader, ensuring that we had $1.4 billion in the kitty from the sale of Snowy Hydro to the federal government. We're going to maximise our opportunities, and I've got to say, this is just the beginning.
All right, I'm going to run on a report. I want to get to some communities that look like they're running out of drinking supply in just a moment, but it was reported a couple of weeks ago that you walked in or entered a meeting of departmental bureaucrats unannounced. That's your right as a minister, but basically told them get with the program of building dams or perhaps find another department to work in. If you said that, I'll cheer you from the rooftops, but how true to the mark is that?
Oh, Peter, I'm not going to go into particular meetings, but I have said it on the record at the New South Wales Farmers Conference, actually, that in my first briefing from my agency, my water agency, one of the senior officials said we don't support the raising of Wyangla Dam by 650 gigalitres. I was gobsmacked. It was a clear election commitment. It was on our government's agenda going into that election, and we were re-elected. So there is a very strong, at times within the agencies, that they don't want to do these types of projects, but we're making some changes. I have a new head of Department of Industry Water who is on board. It comes from Thames Water in London, and I'm very excited with the work that we're doing and the collaboration that's going on across government. And I want to make it clear, you know, we will do the right environmental processes. We are going to be as speedy and proper as we should and need to be. But I would argue and do argue this is about giving our towns and our communities and our industries and our farmers security and certainty of supply into the future, as we have this type of climate variability that we've always had and will continue to have. We need to protect our communities, grow their opportunities and grow their opportunities to have good jobs.
All right, I'm sorry, I won't get to the other question on drinking water. I've got to leave it there. But thank you very much for your time, Minister. More strength to your arm, and I hope you're a good example for the other water ministers around the country. Thanks for your time tonight.